Hello everyone. First of all, I'm really sorry that I had to procrastinate this for such a long time. But anyways, here's the video. This is how I edit using a Lightroom, and this is pretty much a raw file. The first step I always do is decrease the highlights. Don't worry how it looks right now, just decrease the highlights. So bring down the highlight sliders. Now you see there's a lot of detail that come up in the sky. Like once you decrease the highlights, what it does is all the overexposed parts, they come down to normal. That's what happens here. So once you decrease the highlights, I try to increase the shadows just a bit, something like this, and I leave it at it, like some random number, whichever works for you, that's okay. And then come back to the white slider. Don't move the white slider by yourself. Hold the shift key and then double click on it. So Lightroom itself automatically adjusts what it thinks is the best white value for it. Like you can always slide it yourself, but I feel that this is more convenient and this is more kind of right. And you can do the same thing with black slider as well. Hold the shift key, double click on the blacks. In this case it moved to -14. Now if I want to see how the photo looked before we edit it, just press the backslash key. So once you press the backslash key, this was how it was before, this is how it is after. Almost all the work is done. Like I hardly did 4 steps and all my details are already there. Now people think that I edit a lot or I apply some effects to this, but this is the only thing that I do for most of my photos. I just bring down the highlights so that details appear, increase the shadows so that the darker areas which were there before now appear a bit more clearly, and then adjust the whites and blacks, which increase the contrast. Now the last step is just the finishing step. Now always see where the light is coming from. So in this case my light is coming from this part, isn't it? So if light is coming from this part, so this part has to be illuminated, isn't it, for it to be realistic? So if there is a light source here, so the light rays are coming this way, so the floor has to be illuminated is what my presumption is. So what do I do? So now if I want to adjust anything locally in Lightroom, just take a brush. So now whatever you paint, it makes adjustments according to whatever values you give here. If you double click on FX, everything comes to default. Now we took a brush. I want these two pillars to be a bit more visible. These are dark. What do we do for them to be visible? We increase the shadows, or we bring up the shadows. So I brought the shadows to 60 and then just paint on them. See now, in one stroke they come up to life. That's it. I just wanted these two to be visible, so I just painted on them, and that's it. So my frame is visible, my Qutub Minar is visible. Now the next step is I want this to be a bit more illuminated. So take a new brush, again double click on the effect so that everything comes back to its default value. Since I want this to be a bit more brighter, I'll just increase the exposure just a bit. Now for example, let's say I increase the exposure like this and then I paint it like this and it looks like shit. I can always decrease the exposure. Now it's not like we only have one chance and then again we'll have to redo or something. Once we paint, we can adjust whatever values you want. Like so now my exposure, I'll keep it at like 13 or something. I'll increase the clarity because I want these to be very clear, so I increasing the clarity of the ground, and then I'll probably bring down the highlights just a bit. Like it's up to you. Like you can play around with the values. Also this is kind of then the sun is setting, so this has to be a bit goldenish in color, isn't it? So I'm increasing the temperature just a bit, just a little bit, right. So with this, like, I'm done with my photo. This hardly takes me 1 minute to edit. I'll just do the first 4 steps, which is bring down the highlights, increase the shadows, do the whites and blacks, and then take a brush and see if we can do something wherever it is like very dark or something. That's it. So I hope this video helps you a lot in editing your own photos. Lightroom on desktop is really easy. It's not like Photoshop where you'll have to think a lot of things. If you want detailed explanation of all these steps, you can always go back to my previous videos on the same channel. There where I explained how do we edit the sky, or what happens with shadows, what happens with contrast, and so on and so forth. But this is the basic editing. Like if you have very less time and you just want to get done with this, like this is it. Like 1 minute you get done with it. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. I'll be talking about Instagram and its growth. Take care, have a nice day, and before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.